following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Insider's Edge podcast here on the WZWA Network. I'm your host with the most on the West Coast, Karlifornia Fury. What a joy to be with you all here once again. And I am pumped. I'm excited here, everybody. And when I introduce guests on my show, usually I go through a list of the championships they've won and the accolades that they've had. But with this guy right here, right now, I don't need to do all of that because all I need to do is say his name. He is infamous. He is the one. He is the only Man Pondo. How are you, bro?
Thank God there's only one of me. Thank God there's only one of me. But, man, I'm doing good. It's early morning here, 10 a.m. What time is it there?
It's just after 10 p.m. for me. So
Yeah. Big change.
That's it, bro. It tends to be the case when I do these interviews. I'm always up late, but that's okay because it's always a joy to speak with legends of the wrestling industry such as yourself. And Pondo, the first question, as per usual on this show, is when you were a young man, how did you become a fan of professional wrestling?
So I've told this story 100 times, so I'm going to sound like Vin Diesel. You know how he says the same speech every time. But Fairfield, Illinois, me and my family would always go eat with my great-grandma and my great-grandpa. And my family, we were very reserved. Not me, of course. I was the in every room and in your face, you know, and everybody else was just pretty calm and didn't talk a lot. Well, the time after we got done eating, CWA, which later became USWA with Jerry the King Lawler and Bill Dundee in the Memphis area, wrestling would come on. And my great grandma and grandpa would lose their mind and be like, I loved wrestling. And my mom still has this paper from school. It said, draw what you want to be when you get older. And kids were drawing police officers and firemen, and kiss-ass kids was drawing teachers and stuff like that. Well, mine had a...
Oh, we lost him. There we go. Sorry, bro, you cut out there.
Was that me or you?
You dropped out, yeah. That's okay. I've got you back now.
Okay. My mom still has...
Oh dear.
With two stick wrestlers going at it. So, you know, I knew that I wanted to be a wrestler in grade school, or I wouldn't have drawn that. And then later on in life, I found a wrestling school and been wrestling ever since. It's been 32 years. My first match was June 24th, 1989. So you can add that up.
Certainly can, bro. And one thing I wanted to ask, as I've asked a lot of guys who've been involved in deathmatch style wrestling, what was the first thing that attracted you to that style, you know, as you were moving through the industry?
So, do you remember when WWE had a pay-per-view every Sunday called In Your House?
Yeah.
Well, they might as well have been regular TV matches up until the main event. So me and a bunch of friends would always get together at my house to watch those pay-per-views. And I would notice that during the first 45 minutes, we wasn't really watching the TV that much. I mean, you know, if something cool or funny happened, but other than that, we really didn't care. But we'd always watch the main event. Well, I had a whole bunch of deathmatch videotapes, and the guys knew it. So the minute that the pay-per-view would get done, those same guys that wasn't paying attention to the TV, I'd put in one of those deathmatch videotapes, and all eyes were on that TV. You know, they just wasn't engulfed in it. And I told myself, you know, I love this stuff. I was watching Masanaga versus Mr. Pogo. I wore that videotape out. I had to buy another one that I loved it so much. And I just knew that this was what I could do to get my name out there. And boom, here I am on a Zoom meeting with you. You know,
that's really cool, bro. And thanks for sharing that. That's really cool. I was doing my research earlier, and I found this to be very interesting. It's going back a while now, but as you said, your first match was in 1989. But on the 20th of July, 1991, I don't know if this is your first match there or if you worked there any other times, but my research says at the War Memorial Auditorium in Fort Lauderdale for UWF Fury Hour, you wrestled a guy under the name of the Super Ninja. And UWF is obviously infamous for the one and only Herb Abrams. Do you have any sort of stories of your time wrestling there for that company and that man?
Oh, I sure do. So my mom and dad had one of the first chip satellites in their front yard. Huge, bigger than my car. You know what I mean? Those old ones that you had to move to the signal and shit like that. So I got UWF wrestling, and there was some major stars at that company. So one day, do you remember Ricky the Dragon Steamboat had a manager called the Super Ninja?
Yeah.
That was this guy.
Okay.
American guy out of Vincennes, Indiana, but he had the outfit, so they gave him the job. And then later on, they pulled the mask off of the ninja, and it was Paul Heyman, you know, for shit. But the only reason they gave him the job was because he had the outfit. So he calls me one day and says, "Hey, man, I got you booked at UWF in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Melbourne, and I can't remember where the third town was. Melbourne might even have been the third of the town. I don't know." So I'm excited. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it, you know. And my parents had bought me a 87 Thunderbird that was really easy on gas at the time. So he said, the only thing is you have to drive us. And I'm like, no problem. You know, this is a pretty big opportunity for me. Like, let's see, if that was 91, I'd only been in the business 2 years. So from Vincennes, Indiana to Florida, 14 hours, right? But on the way there, we got stuck in Eagle's Nest on the way. That's a road, one of those winding roads where the semis have to have their lights on. So we got stuck in Eagle's Nest for about 5 hours. Very slow, very slow. And when we finally got to the end of it, somebody had hit a bear, and the bear's just breathing on the road, right? Because I remember saying, man, I can't wait till that bear gets up pissed off and slaps all the ass off of somebody or something like that. And so about 17 hours to get to this hotel, right? He had time to tell me anything he wanted for 17 hours. So we get to the hotel, and the first two people that we see is Captain Lou Albano and Bruno Sammartino. And they are welcoming us with open arms. Like, hey, guys, we're so happy to have you here. And they said, go on upstairs, put your bags in your room, and come back down and eat breakfast with us. I am freaking the fuck out. I'm about to have breakfast with Bruno Sammartino and Captain Lou Albano. Ain't been in this business 2 years. So at breakfast, they're asking me shit like, how long have I been wrestling, and where's all these companies that I've been at, and I only had like 2 at the time, so they're a little confused. So that night we had to go to not a TV taping, but Herb Abrams rented a whole studio for this promo with a guy named Mr. Red, the Super Ninja, talking to Captain Lou Albano. So we go down the hallway. Now, I know who Herb Abrams is because he's on every episode of his TV show. You know, it's his show. He wants to be on it. We all know that type. So we're going down the hallway, and Herb Abrams comes out of his room because we're going to the same elevator. And I notice he has Coke all under his nose. I mean, huge, right? I said, "Excuse me, sir, but you might want to get that off your nose." And he just took like his thumb. So I'm like, okay, you know. So we get on the elevator. We go to this big promo of those two. We come back. We wrestle that night. Still no word, right? So you saw the match. Have you seen the match?
I have not, no.
Total shits, right? I've only been in the business 2 years, and I get out of the ring after the match. Captain Lou Albano got involved in it. Herb Abrams got involved in it. They're beating up Mr. Red and all this shit. By the time I got to the back, so the War Memorial has 2 dressing rooms on each side of it, and then there's an electric room in the back. And Greg DeGeorge and Bruno Sammartino say, come with us a minute. And they get me in this electric room, and then Captain Lou Albano comes back there, and they're like, where was all the flips? Where were all the top rope work and all that stuff? And I'm like, I'm confused. I'm like, oh, did you guys want me to try that stuff? And they're like, try? I mean, all this time? And I'm like, no. Back up, at breakfast, they was even talking about putting me in an angle with Brady Boone, who does moonsaults and all that shit. But he was doing a thing called Wildcat or Thundercat or something like that. So I start figuring things out. Howard had told these guys that I could do moonsaults and all this shit. I ain't done none of that shit. He had 17 hours to tell me that, where during the match I could have faked an injury, you know. So they went ahead and paid me for that show and took me off the other 2. So now all of a sudden I'm the laughing stock of, I mean, if you watch the match, Bruno Sammartino, Captain Lou Albano, and Greg DeGeorge are just shitting all over me during this match. And with good reason. Like, I wasn't good at all. I'd only been in 2 years. Let me back up, though. So that happened, and then they took me off the shows. I didn't talk to him all the way home. I was so fucking pissed off that he lied to him and told him that I could do all this stuff because he needed a ride there. Right. Now, here's the part that I forgot to tell you. So when we get to the War Memorial, now this is before they found out that I couldn't do moonsaults and all that shit. All the wrestlers are going into the locker room if you're pointing it, they're going to the ones on the left. So I start following them. Luna Vachon's in there. Dave Heath, Gangrel, which he was doing the Black Hearts with some guy. You know, there was a couple of bigger names that I knew from the because I would watch the TV show. So big list says, if your name is not on this list, do not go in the locker room. So and there's a bunch of names, and I'm going through all these names. My name's not on it. Howard's name's not on it. So can't remember this guy's name, but on that dark side of the ring, he had a yellow UWF jacket on. So I go over to him and I say, "Hey, my name's not on that list over there. Am I in that locker room?" And he goes, "No, I think you need to go to that locker room over there." So I go over to the locker room to the right, and that list has B. Brian Blair, Dr. Death Steve Williams, Paul Orndorff, Cowboy Bob Orton, Man Pondo. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I'm in there with all these big names getting dressed, I even took a picture of Paul Orndorff with everybody staring at me like, what the fuck is this guy doing? But so anyway, yeah, that's my UWF experience. And then they never brought me back, but shortly after that, Herb's money or maybe his death, UWF didn't last very long. I think they had one more big event, the one that was in Vegas that didn't draw shit, and then that company fell through anyway. But if you could have seen Bruno Sammartino's face when he was asking me about all this fancy shit that I couldn't do because some motherfucker lied and told him that I could, but I did get breakfast. They bought the breakfast. Captain Albano or Bruno, one of them did. So, hey, I got that to say.
Excellent, bro. I knew if I brought up the UWF that something would happen, and thankfully that breakfast happened before the match took place.
Exactly.
Another thing on my research, which I'm sure you've been asked about quite a few times, it's about a public access television show that you used to have in the late 90s. The program featured nude women cursing, wrestling, and attracted the attention of the one and only Jerry Springer. Could you tell me a little bit about this show that you had put on there in the late 90s? Because it sounds really sounds fun.
So I'm sitting at this little Kmart building talking to this old man, and he's telling me that the wrestling that he's seeing in that Kmart building, he's like, you guys should put this on public access. And I told him, I said, oh, the promoter will never put this on public access. He's all about money, and public access is for free. And he says, well, they have some wrestling on there now, but it's just so bad. It's just so terrible. I still watch it, but it'd be nice to see some good wrestling on there. And I told him, that, yeah, well, I would love to help him out, but I know this guy's not going to go for free. So then he starts telling me, he said, the only thing with public access, because I watch it a lot, is they let cursing on there. And I was like, really? Acting like I was all disgusted and shit. And he said, and you know what else they have? You can have naked women on that station. I was like, I'm appalled. And then I had a show 2 weeks later called Skull Talk, right? So I got a hold of public access, and here is the kicker. The FCAA, it's illegal for them to check your videotape before you put it on public access. I don't know the logistics of it, but that's what I was told. And thank God that's exactly the way it was, because I got away with Skull Talk, right? So a guy named Tower of Doom had these shows in Cincinnati that had strippers at them. They wasn't naked at the wrestling show, but they were strippers. So I had him talk to a few of them. There was some girls that I knew, and so I got this idea where I would introduce wrestling matches, but have naked girls sitting on my lap. It was the best, worst idea I ever had, because all they had to do was sit there while I introduced this match, and it would be done. But no, it's all, let me go smoke a cigarette, let me fix my hair, my boobs looking good, all this shit that would make it last so much longer. And I was, it doesn't matter how good their boobs are. If they're aggravating you, you want away from them motherfuckers. You know what I mean? But anyway, so we made some, I put two VCRs together and edited all these shows myself. And here is another fact about it. They put Skull Talk in between two religious shows. I don't know why, but there was preachers on each side of Skull Talk. I can't even remember what time my show started. Say my show started at 8 o'clock. At 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock, there was religious shows of preachers, right? Now, they wouldn't let you advertise on there, but they would let you put your email address on there. And back in the day, I had a thing called Web TV. Do you guys, are you familiar with that?
I remember hearing about that, yeah.
It was a keyboard that you could plug into your TV, and your TV would become a computer. And I didn't understand just how aggravating I was be, but my my email address was MMP_IN_DA_house 69 at Web TV, you know. So already to write down my email address is just aggravating as fuck, right? So, but I would put my email address up on the screen, and I'll be damned if the 9 o'clock preacher would write me every week, tell me I was going to hell, and you know, just knocking my dick in the dirt. And I wouldn't really answer back. I understood his pain, you know. I mean, here he is trying to put on some religious show, and then you got some fat-bellied scumbag fucking cussing with naked ladies all over your lap. I get it. So one time I went to drop my videotape off at the studio, and it was an old grocery store. So they had the in, the doors would open, the out, the doors would open for you. So one day, go to that studio, as I was walking in, that preacher was walking out. And we locked eyes, and we sat there and stared at each other for a second. And then he went on to his car, and then I went on to mine. When I got home, I'll be damned if I didn't have this coward fucking email of, I seen you. You're lucky I didn't, I don't know what he said, but yeah. So the last thing I'll tell you about Skull Talk, they had rules. And I just told you one, that you couldn't advertise on there, but you could have your email address on there. Rule number 2, you couldn't have any penis on there, which I wouldn't want penis on my show anyway. And number 3, you couldn't have any penetration, right? Well, I kept going, and I just kept pushing the envelope. And finally, for the last episode of Skull Talk, I had a girl using a dildo on herself, but moaning real loud while I was trying to introduce a match. So finally I said, "Shut up, bitch." So she stopped. And then I said, "Here's Man Pondo versus the Sandman." And then I looked over at her and I said, "Okay, go ahead." And then I stared at her while she was using that dildo on her. Well, that was penetration. And they shut my show off. You know, they called me that night and said, "Hey, we're not going to be able to have Skull Talk on anymore." By then, I'm telling you the truth, I was so over that shit, just because the girls were so needy, and it, you know, there's always the hottest girl in the world that somebody's tired of fucking. Does that line make sense? Well,
it does, yeah.
Okay, there's always the best pair of boobs that I would get tired of filming because of their bullshit. All right. So I was really done with the show already, but when they said, okay, no more skull talk, all of a sudden a big burden got released. So I was like, all right, this is cool. About 2 months later, Public Access called my phone again and said, hey, is there any way you can start doing those shows again? And I was like, well, why would you want them now? And they was like, well, there was local people in the area buying into Public Access so they can see your show. And I was like, oh, well, nah, I'm not too interested, but I have all the copies here. I'll bring them down there, you know. So they played the reruns of Skull Talk forever. I don't even remember how long it was, but yeah, like I said, it was the best, worst idea I ever had in my damn life.
That was awesome. What a great story. Thanks, Bro. I love that. And what a way to go out as well. It's a perfect ending to the show for sure. Getting back on to talking about wrestling, Bro. A little while back, sometime last year, I had the opportunity to interview Too Tough Tony, and we did talk a bit about his experience with yourself and Corporal Robinson in Big Japan. I just wanted to throw that question at you, what it was like, you know, during those days, the three of you over there. Tell me a little bit about Big Japan with your friends.
Corporal Robinson never went to Japan in his damn life.
Oh, right. Okay, my bad.
He so I had Corporal Robinson booked in Japan before Too Tough Tony.
Yeah.
And Big Japan kept asking for a copy of Corporal Robinson's passport, just a Xerox copy of it. So I kept asking him for it. Finally, I'm on a show on a Thursday, but flying to Japan on Friday. And I told Corporal, I said, you got to get me that paper. You got to get me that copy. Otherwise, I don't know what they're going to do, if they're going to bring you in or not. He said, Pondo, I will have it at your house before you leave. Well, of course, I left and no Corporal Robinson. So when I flew over there, his pictures were on the tickets. His pictures were on the poster. And so they had every intention on bringing him over there. Well, I just thought he was a big procrastinator and didn't get me the copy. So when I got to Japan, I lied and said, oh, I'm sorry, he gave me that, but I left it at my house. And they told me then, they're like, well, we need that before the next tour. You're going to have to go home and send it to us. And I said, I'll do it as soon as I get home. So I think that was like a 3.5 week tour. I got home and Corporal and his girlfriend at the time, or wife, whichever one, were sitting at a table. Too Tough Tony and Cashflow's both sitting at that table. I go over and I sit down at the table. I say, Corporal, I need that paper. Bar none, I need that paper. And his girlfriend pipes in and says, we can't afford $110 right now. And I looked at Corporal and I said, Corporal, you have your passport, right? And Corporal goes, I told you I didn't have my passport. And Cashflow and Tony both attacked him like, dude, you totally told him you had your passport and all this shit. So he never even had a passport to get into Japan. So that's how Tony got in there, because
right,
you know, I had to tell him the truth and say, hey, I lied about that, but I can bring this other guy, and that's how Bakagaijin got started. Too Tough Tony went instead of Corporal Robinson with had Corporal's picture on it, but that's about as far as he ever got in Japan, is that picture on that ticket.
Okay. Sorry, sometimes the internet can be incorrect with some of the stuff that's out there, so I apologize for being wrong about that. Okay, another thing I wanted to bring up, which I thought was interesting, 16th of July 2003, yourself, Nate Webb, and Dirk Sigler work on TNA Explosion against 3 Live Crew. What was your experience like working at TNA at that point, and why did nothing else come about later on?
Now, what's that other Ziggler's name from WWE?
Dolph
That's not him,
Ziggler?
is it?
No,
That's him?
no, it's not. His name's Dirk Ziggler. Let me have a look. I'll find this.
I remember that kid, but so while you're looking for that, so New Jack calls me up and says, Pondo, I'm gonna be in Nashville. He said, I'm tired of working the Sandman. You can only work a drunk man so many times. Would you please come down, let them meet you, bring a videotape, and let's see what they do? And I said, okay, no problem. Well, this was at the time that a gentleman, I say that very loosely, was fighting with Impact a lot. So, and me, Nate Webb, and Chris Hero all worked for that guy. It's fucking Ian. It's that piece of shit, Ian Rotten. Right. So, it was supposed to be me, Nate, and Chris Hero. Chris Hero already knew what the deal was, so he wasn't going to go. Nate Webb was going there frequently, and I was there just to give a videotape and meet New Jack, but get a payday out of it through New Jack by doing this match on TV. And basically what they did, they took 3 of Ian's guys and put us versus 3 Live Crew.
Yeah.
All right. So 3 Live Crew says, well, not 3 Live Crew. Jeremy Borash comes over and says, all right, guys, this match is going to last about 5 minutes. So already I'm telling myself, nobody's getting a job on TV with 5 minutes. There's no way. So Conan comes over and says, hey, guys, just stand back. Don't attack us or nothing, because I got to speak on this for 2 minutes. So now we're down to 3 minutes, right? And their ideas was after Conan puts the microphone down, we attack them, they come back on us. Conan does his finish to the mystery guy. Ron Killings does his finish to Nate Webb, and Road Dogg does his whole coming off the ropes and knocking his knees together to me. So they're going to beat us up. All 3 of us are going to go outside the ring, and we're supposed to come back in singly. Mystery guy comes in, then Nate comes in, and then I come in, right? So sure enough, Conan puts the mic down. And let me also say this. When I got in the ring, people started chanting Pondo. Not a lot, but there was people there chanting Pondo, and I was like, shit, man. So already my heart's sinking down into my stomach. And me and Road Dogg has talked about this since. So it sounds like I was being an asshole, but I just knew nobody was getting a job out of this shit, right? So mystery guy gets in the ring, and Conan. Mystery guy gets in the ring. Conan does something to him. Nate gets in the ring. Ron Killings does something to him. Road Dogg's in the ring. I go to the back. I wasn't even out there, right? And so Road Dogg came back there, and he said, hey, where was you, buddy? You were supposed to get in the ring. And I'm like, man, I just got so confused. I came to the back, because I knew nobody was going to get a job out of that shit. So why take one more thing, right?
Yeah.
Before that, though, so I get to the fair in Nashville, Tennessee, and I go inside the arena, and I can't remember. Oh, Tony Falk. Tony Falk says, go sit over there on those bleachers with those other guys, and they'll tell you where to go, right? So I go over there, and I'm sitting with them, and it's a whole bunch of muscle bound dudes, and I mean eating steroids in their cereal since they was 2 years old, you know. And here I am, fat belly, no muscle guy. And all of them, there's like 4 of them, and they're all talking about, man, all they got to do is just see what I got. And they're going to give me a job. And they're talking about the gym. And one's talking about he's up for a commercial for, I don't know, some kind of a supplement, you know. All these conversations I'm not included in. So Bill Bearings comes out of the office and he's walking towards those bleachers. And it was like these guys was like, oh, here he comes. Here comes Bill. Here comes. And Bill goes over to that bleacher and he goes, Pondo, you're in the locker room, right? And I just kind of turned around and looked at all 4 of them dudes and walked in the locker room. But you could tell they was not happy. But yeah, I really, after that, I really didn't even care about working on TNA at that time because I was having fun doing what I'm doing, going to Japan back and forth. But New Jack, it would have been cool to do something with New Jack on TNA. But the night that I was there, New Jack was with Shark Boy and they were using Hulk hands. And I'm like, what the New Jack, what the fuck are you doing? And he was like, man, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do, and shit like that. So I don't know. I don't think I would have been a good fit. Not that they wanted me, but I didn't care whether I was there, if that makes any sense.
It certainly does, bro. I get you. And that Dirk Ziggler guy, he'd also worked under the name of Richard Swinger. He wrestled from 99 to 2008. He's trained by Boomer, Payne, Mad Mike, and Quinn Magnum. He's from Mount Pleasant, Pennsylvania. That's all the information.
I can see the kid in my eyes, but his name, I couldn't tell you what his name was. I remember Nate Webb, after we found out that we only had 3 minutes, it's like, yeah, that's cool. And then everybody walked away. I'm like, Nate, why is that cool? And he's like, oh, I've done this several times. And I'm like, come on, man. They're just disrespecting the shit out of you, you know? But I don't know. Different strokes for different strokes. My dream of wrestling was never WWE. I get it. A bunch of guys say, oh, I never wanted WWE because WWE never wanted them. WWE never wanted me either. WCW didn't want me. I mean, none of these companies wanted me. But my dream was never WWE. My dream was always Japan. And I went 43 times there and back. So I'm happy with what I did in wrestling.
Absolutely, bro. Yeah, not everyone's dream is to play silly character in WWE, you know. Sometimes, you know, what made you fall in love with the business, you know, that's what's more important. And I wanted to get to the King of the Deathmatch and death matches in general here. So I'm just going to rattle off this for the viewers. You won the 2003 King of the Deathmatch tournament on the 1st and 2nd of August 2003 in Clarksville, Indiana. Starting off with a tables match with Nate Webb, a light tubes match with Axel Rotten, a bed of nails and Caribbean spider web match with Nick Gage, and a barbed wire ropes House of Horrors steel cage match with JC Bailey. So a bunch of legendary guys' names that I just brought up there. Please tell me about this experience, you know, and I know you mentioned Ian's name before, and if you could expand on why you feel that way about him.
Well, excluding Ian's attitude every once in a while or getting fucked on paydays, which I'll go ahead and say this. Everybody was getting paid shit at IWA Mid-South, but that's our fucking fault because we stayed. We could have left at any minute, but we didn't. We stayed. It was our fault. But other than having to eat a meal at Denny's with Ian after the matches every once in a while, listen to him put himself over and all his fucking horse shit, IWA Mid-South at that time was probably my funnest company in America, man. Like, all my friends were there. We all got along. We all had a good time. And so the first match was Nate Webb. I had put Nate Webb over the previous king. I can't remember what it was, but Nate did the same thing to me twice, put me through 2 tables off the edge of the wall. And then, when I went over Nate, and then my second one was Axel, right?
Yeah.
All right. Axel was very cooperative. He knew that I was going to the end, so that was a fun match. I hadn't seen Nick Gage since Japan, and I was still going, and they wasn't. So I didn't know how he would feel about me, but open arms when he saw me, and then, of course, JC, we always had good matches, so I knew that the main event was going to be a good match. And 2003 winner, I don't know. I am very fortunate to be the 2003 winner, because if you ask so many people what their favorite favorite King of the Deathmatch was, a lot of them will say 2003. So I'm glad I was the one at the end of that one.
Ah, that's awesome, bro. And another question I like to ask, I've had guys like Thumbtack Jack on the show, Matt Tremont. We've had Masada on the show. I always ask this question. Tell me about the atmosphere in the air the day of a deathmatch tournament. You know you're about to go through some heavy shit. Everyone else knows they're about to go through some heavy shit. Tell me about what that feels like that day when something that crazy is about to take place.
I am probably the oddest ball that you might have had on your show, because I don't even think about that until I'm getting ready to go through that curtain.
Right.
Getting there early and picking and choosing which weapons that the fans made that you want, putting dibs on those. I learned very early to get there early for deathmatch tournaments, because if you don't, then you're stuck with what everybody else didn't want to use.
Right.
So that's a big factor. I never once thought to myself, what am I going to do if I got hurt? It was always, I'm going to do this. That way I can make the fans pop and say my name. It was never, oh no, this is going to hurt. So all that stuff you saw me do, it was just fans, right? Taking that power bomb on the bed of nails from Nick Gage in 2003. The fans all went nuts. Taking the suplex off an 18-foot scaffold down into a ring with. So I really don't have, I don't know about the rest of the guys, but I really have maybe some kind of psychotic problem that I don't care until after, right? And for 32 years, I never got hurt. Never got hurt. Always walked out. Never went to the hospital. I take that back. I went to the hospital and got some vaginas on my arms or my face stitched up, because I didn't want them to heal and look like the worst shit ever. But I never spent the night in the hospital until WrestleMania weekend of last year. So I think that's for considering the shit that I went through in my wrestling career. I think that's a pretty good compliment that I never spent the night in the hospital until 32 years.
Pretty good, bro. Pretty good. And speaking of, recovering after a hellacious day, such as a day of a deathmatch tournament, how do you personally recover from such a hard day at the office? Is there anything that you do in the coming days after something like that that you go to, I guess, try and make yourself feel a bit better, or maybe you don't have any of those problems?
Not really, man. I would just live life, I would go shopping in grocery stores, and my forehead would be all destroyed, and I would scare children. Right? They'd hide behind their moms or stuff like that. But yeah, I just lived. I just kept on going. No matter how bad I was hurt, no matter how, I always went for the reputation of, man, okay, so what I was just talking about, where I finally got hurt, Matthew Justice put a knee right down in my ribs off a second-story balcony, breaking rib 3 and 4. 3 going, not just ripping a hole, not just puncturing a hole, but ripping a hole in my lung, making it collapse to the size of your fist. And I went back to the ring and did another 6 or 7 minutes, and then went to go to my mom's house to just sleep, and maybe everything would be okay the next day. But no, I mean, that one I had to go to the hospital. But they put this tube into my chest so they could release the air. And then I was supposed to stay a total of 3 days, but I accidentally knocked that thing out in the bathroom, that tube. So when they was giving me the x-ray to figure out how to get that put back in there, they said, Mr. Candy, you'll be able to go home. Your lung is at full capacity. So, yeah, I always spent one night, 32 years, I always spent one night in the hospital. So I'd say that's a pretty good record.
That's a fantastic record, especially with what you've put yourself through over the years.
Yeah, and having my ribs broke and my lung collapse, I went back to the ring and did another 6 or 7 minutes. So I think that puts me in the bad motherfuckers club.
Absolutely. And another question I had, how many bed sheets do you think you've ruined in your post-deathmatch career in your life? How many?
It's always an ongoing joke back in the day about, we wonder what the maid thought when she came in and cleaned the hotel. But now, that was before you put your debit card on everything. You'd pay cash and you would leave, and whatever state that room was in, they never cared. But now it's easy as there's blood all over the bed. Didn't he use a debit card or a credit card, charge his credit card? So it's different now. But, man, I really couldn't count. It's been probably over 50, I bet. Over the years, over the 32 years, I bet over 50. And it's not like I tried. It's not like I tried to take holes in my skin and make art out of it. It was just, I would wake up the next day and the sheet would be glued to me, or yeah. So
I interviewed DJ Hyde maybe about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I pitched to him an idea for merchandise for CZW. I could pitch that same thing for you. The exclusive deathmatch bed sheets. You want to feel like that you've woken up like a real deathmatch wrestler, you can get these bed sheets, and it's just got patterns of blood stains all over it. I think right. fans might be into that idea, but I don't know if I don't know how much money you make from that. But anyway, moving forward, I got to bring this up before I talk about IWA East Coast. We're getting towards the tail end here, bro. Again, thank you for your time. Juggalo.
Fine.
Excellent, bro. Juggalo Championship Wrestling. Got to bring up the Clowns, working with them. Spoke at length with Too Tough Tony about his experiences there. Do you have any fun stories of working with the Insane Clown Posse and working at their Bloody Manias and the gathering of the Juggalos? I mean, there's got to be something that's happened.
So I am the only wrestler that has done something active in the ring for all 21 gathering of the Juggalos. I've been to all 21 of them. Not Tony, not Corporal. Mosh Pit Mike has been to all 21 gatherings, but not active in the ring. Well, I mean, kind of he was. He would come to the schools and stuff like that. But I am the only wrestler, 21 years, has done something active in the ring for the gathering of the Juggalos. And if you can imagine, over 21 years, I have seen some shit at them gathering of the Juggalos, but it gets such a bad reputation that I hate telling a lot of the stories. Like, I did not agree with Tila Tequila, them throwing shit at Tila Tequila, and I would have Juggalos coming up to me like, yeah, bro, I'm the one that shit the watermelon and threw it at Tila Tequila, and I got no respect for that. And I'll tell you why. When they throw things at the artist, it makes it harder for Insane Clown Posse to be able to book other artists because their first thought is, oh, well, they threw a bunch of shit at Tila Tequila. Now, Tila Tequila is the most famous one that got stuff thrown at her, I guess because she was a girl and she took her top off and tried to get the Juggalos to like her and all that shit. But that is not the worst one. Back in the early days, I had a guy named Bubba Sparks. Oh my God, they destroyed Bubba Sparks with shit. But the one that I could say, because I was there, the Yin Yang twins, they threw so much shit at them guys that they would disappear every once in a while. And I'm talking about, I am probably a football field away from the stage. So I should be able to see everything on that stage. But every once in a while, they threw so much shit that the Yin Yang twins, of course, their finishing song should have been the "To the Window, to the Wall." You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
But so 2 songs in, they started throwing shit. So they tried to play that song to get the Juggalos to come around, but no, man, I don't know what they had against them Yin Yang twins, but they're the worst ones that I ever saw get bombed with a bunch of shit. And man, just think about all the artists that I've seen over the years. I saw Old Dirty Bastard.
Oh yeah.
I mean, think about that. I saw Ice Cube, Ice T, Busta Rhymes, Exhibit. Trying to think of MC Hammer. I mean, just artist after artist, comedian after comedian. I saw Charlie Murphy. I saw Ralphie May. You can't see them guys no more. I saw Cheech and Chong. You know?
Oh wow.
Just recently at this last one, I had 3 goals. I wanted to see Kid and Play in concert because I'm a big House Party fan, and I did get to do that. There was maybe one section of people in between me, the guardrail, and then Kid and Play. And if you remember the movie, they did the whole foot dance. Loved that. I wanted to get my picture with Steve-O, but I didn't get my picture with him. But I did get a very interesting picture of Steve-O did this thing where he put his dick and balls in between his legs. And then he said, hey, does everybody want to see my butthole? And they all said yes. And when he turned around and held that thing apart, it looked like a thermos. Like he's had some damage to that motherfucker. But I got that picture. So, and then Chris Hansen from To Catch a Predator. I got my picture with him. And then I wrestled, got paid, and then I went home. I only spent 2 days at the gathering this year. Usually I stay all the days, but I had like this one sprung up, man. This one was a quick one, but I'd already had booking for Saturday and Sunday, so I stayed Thursday and Friday, and then I went and made my booking on Saturday.
Awesome, bro. Thanks for sharing all that. And yes, I hope to one day get to go to a gathering of the Juggalos when all of this bullshit's over and done with and I can finally travel again.
Let me say something else. I say the gathering of the Juggalos gets a bad reputation because it does. But if those same people that gave the gathering of the Juggalos such hard times, if they went to the gathering, they would realize I've been to all 21 and I maybe seen 3, maybe 4 fights.
Yeah.
Out of 21 years. Those kids are all about family and loving each other. Small story. So like 5 years ago, the big story was that there was a stabbing at the gathering of the Juggalos. Well, that's all they put. Stabbing at the gathering of the Juggalos. They did not put that it was 2 food vendors arguing over prices of food and stuff. They just let it hang out that it was a stabbing. So of course nobody's going to think that it was 2 food vendors. They're going to go straight for the Juggalos, and that's exactly what happened. So yeah, the gathering of the Juggalos is all about family and having a good time, and maybe it's because I'm Man Pondo, but I've never went hungry at a gathering of the Juggalos. If I've been walking through the trails, or like, hey man, you want something to eat, you need something to drink. I have been offered a ton of drugs, but I don't do any of them. So really, it was a waste of time. But yeah, I mean, I hope you do make a gathering of the Juggalos someday, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Definitely on the bucket list for me. Time to talk about IWA East Coast. It's now been around 17 years. I'm sure you've been asked this many a times, but there might be some people out there that don't know the story. What led to you wanting to start your own promotion?
So I was living in Mexico, Missouri, and a guy there had said, hey, come in and help me run this company, but he only ran one show. So really there was every wrestling that I had to go to was not near. It was always 4 hours, 10 hours, and all that shit. So my buddy Woody Numbers, which were October the 8th, he passed away. We're having the Woody Numbers 4th annual memorial match coming up. Me and my partner Duke the Nukes taking on Ricky and Kerry Morton. But he would always say, man, I want to run a promotion down here, and I want you to come down here. I want you to be the one to run it. And I would ask him, I'm like, how many companies is running around you right now? And he would say 7. And I'm like, you know how difficult it's going to be to run a company around 7 others? So finally I said, okay, I'll drive down there and we'll go to all these shows and we'll see what can be done. So I drove to Charleston, West Virginia from Mexico, Missouri. And I went to 5 of those shows out of the 7. And finally I told him, I was like, I know what we need to do to have a good show. He's like, what's that? I said, put on a good show. Like the other shows, man, they were just going through the motions. And so the very first show, when we planned it out, I was like, okay, so who could we get that's going to draw a crowd? And they was throwing off names here and there and there and there, here. And finally, one of them said, well, I'd say that we could get Abdullah the Butcher, but he no-showed in this area 2 times in a row. I'm like, holy shit, guys, that's the information I need right there. Abdullah the Butcher is my boy. He's not going to no-show me. So let's make him the main event, and that'll give our company a little exposure. So then, who do you put Abdullah the Butcher with? My other buddy, Necro Butcher, Battle of the Butchers. There you go. What a
there
main
you go.
event, right?
Yeah.
Big Japan at the time. So I asked Tasaka who he could send, because he was all the time asking me to find companies for their wrestlers to wrestle at. So I asked him, I said, okay, who can you send me? So he sent me Ryuji Ito, which I wrestled, and he sent me Daisuke Sakimoto, which I put versus Ian. So, all right, we had 2 Japanese wrestlers, Abdullah the Butcher. What else can we do? So I'm good friends with Chris Hero, and I have seen him and Cristaldi at the time, but now Cesaro. Seen them work 100 times. It's always smooth. Brought them in, right? So then Chris Hero, Cesaro was dating Allison Danger at the time. Well, Mickey Knuckles was riding with Ian all the time. So there's another match. Then I told myself, okay, we need somebody from WWE, good friends with Zach Gowen. So I brought in Zach Gowen and Nate Webb. So there we go. So 6 solid matches.
Absolutely.
And we had 250 people for our very first show. And then we just kept it up after that. Our next star we brought in was New Jack. Our next star we brought in was fucking Sandman. And then we brought in Vader. And then we brought in Badass Billy Gunn. And, the Badass Billy Gunn one drew over 200 people. And on that night, Chris Hero beat Badass Billy Gunn. Everybody freaked out. So the next show, we had damn near 400 people. And you're talking about on a Tuesday night in Charleston, West Virginia, 400 people. So on that show, because of our pre-sale, we knew that we was going to have a lot of people there. So that's where we put Chris Hero versus Dick Togo. Phenomenal match, which, we was very smart about things. So then we brought in Steve Corino. We brought in Spike Dudley. We always had one star on each show that people would want to come in and meet. We had Raven. I forgot about Raven. Actually, to all promoters out there, we were drawing 250 to 400 people a show, and I only wrestled one of the stars that we brought in. Promoters will bring in wrestlers and wrestle them every time and put themselves at a higher level than everybody. But I think your company grows bigger if you let everybody wrestle the stars, and that's exactly what we did. And man, we were successful from Charleston. Maybe after seven years, we were on top, man. You can ask any of the companies in West Virginia. We were number one. So I moved to Louisville, but before I did, there was a group of guys that was just helping us. And I told them everything they had to do that I was doing, where to hand out flyers, where to go to. I was going on the radio, all this shit that I was doing for IWA East Coast. I told them, okay, is everybody prepared to do that? Everybody was like, yes. So the next show, I drove in from Louisville to Charleston. We had 200 people. Next show, 150. It just kept declining. And I would tell these guys, I'm like, look, if you're not going to do this, let's just shut this shit down and go out on top. And everybody was like, oh, no, we're going to do it. And then finally, J.C. Bailey passed away. So we had a J.C. Bailey, we was trying to make money for J.C. Bailey's headstone. So I had Joe Bailey, his dad, come in and run the door. That way Joe Bailey knew that all the money was going to him, every bit of it. And we only drove 50 people for that. So I just shut the company down. I didn't try to do a DVD sale to save it. I didn't beg fans to come to the show or the company's shutting down. No, my idea was just to shut the company down and let people remember it for what it was. So we did that. I did that. And then a few years later, maybe 2 or 3, a couple of guys, Scott Mylan and Fat Ton, Michael Tawny, called me up and asked me if they could use the IWA East Coast name. I said, yeah, go ahead and you guys can have it. And they was like, well, we want you to run the locker room. I was like, okay, so I'm driving from Louisville to Charleston, West Virginia, and I got this knot in my throat all the way there. Like, I can't believe I gave my company away. And then at the end of the night, something happened that had never happened on any of the other shows in all those years. I got paid at the end of the night. I was like, shit, why did I wait so long to give this company away? But my pay always went for the star for the next show. So I was working the whole rob from Peter to pay Paul, so we making sure that the company stayed on top. And so now we just did the Masters of Pain. We drew 300 in a skating rink in Campbell's Creek, West Virginia, a suburb of Charleston. And we've got some attention again. And now the local baseball team, October the 8th, we're in there. So IWA East Coast is still alive and going to this day.
Awesome, bro. Thanks so much for sharing all of that. It's such a great just an insight to the company and everything that you've been through, especially through those early days. I love hearing about that stuff. It's this is why I like doing these shows, because I get to learn these things, and learning is my favorite part of anything that I do. And speaking of the Masters of Pain, I spoke to some other guys on the show that have done the tournament, and they've always given props to you for this tournament, because you'll put yourself in that tournament. You always ensure that you put someone over. You always make sure that you help those younger guys, and that's what this kind of tournament's all about. I wanted to ask you about what makes the Masters of Pain one of the most prestigious deathmatch tournaments in wrestling.
Well, here's the thing, man. Too many guys that run their own companies have won the tournaments. Now, I don't want to sit here and debate real, fake, or whatever, but it's fucking fake, right? Like, it's the promoter's decision on who's going to the end. So if that same promoter goes to the end, he's a fucking dick, who just wants to put himself over. So it was always my goal to take somebody who I thought would make a good deathmatch worker and make a great deathmatch worker out of them. So yeah, you're right. Like, I always scheduled myself versus whoever, to where I don't think I ever went past the first. I can't remember if I have. No, take that back. I went over Danny Havoc and then went under to Brain Damage one year. But other years I was out the first seed, because I want to help elevate death matches. All these guys, all these promoters out there wanted to help elevate themselves, henceforth putting themselves over in their own tournament. Like this year, and I pay attention. I was going through all the comments on people coming to the Masters of Pain, and I heard everybody say, I know Slash going to the end. John Wayne Murdoch's on the heater. He's not going to lose. Alex Colon's the baddest man alive. G Raver's got this, you know. I heard all that shit. Well, them four was down the very first seed. And so then the next two would have been Shane Mercer and Jimmy Lloyd. Everybody's like, Jimmy Lloyd won CZW's tournament. So, you know, I'm pretty sure he's going. Or Shane Mercer's the most powerful guy in this tournament. I'm sure he's going. Both of them down. And then the two youngest guys that I had on the Masters of Pain was the main event. And Fat Tom was even kind of questioning my placement because he was feeding into what the people were saying. You know, he's like, are you sure you're not going to disappoint somebody at the end of this tournament? And I'm like, I'm guaranteeing you, I'm putting the two most hungriest guys in the main event, and they're going to go out there and they're going to blow it away. And that's exactly what happened. I don't know if you saw the match or not, but they did fucking phenomenal. And then I really have not heard one bad thing about the Masters of Pain. And trust me, I really stay off the internet. I mean, you already know just by me trying to get on this Zoom thing, I'm a computer dumbass. But I pay attention to what fans say, and no, I haven't heard one person. Okay, so the one I'll take that back. So the one thing that people were pissed off about was, one, we didn't let them cut videos of the matches for clips later on, and two, we didn't live stream it. Well, GCW, ICW, all these other companies, feel free. You want to live stream your shit, feel free. And Fat Tom, he was even feeding into it like, man, we need to figure out how to live stream. I'm like, no, trust me. We do not want to live stream. And we kept our eyes on people cutting videos and stuff like that. And Michael Thick at Murder, Death, Kill Club even told me that people were sending him clips every day. But I told him, don't put any of them clips on the Murder, Death, Kill Club until the DVD came out. So, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, and since I'm the one that's running the Masters of Pain, whoever doesn't like this decision is just going to have to lump it, because we paid for the Masters of Pain 4 times in a row. And I'll tell you why. We told people, go ahead and take as many pictures as you can and put those on the internet. So a picture keeps people wondering, oh, I wonder what happened there. And then they'll go and they'll buy the DVD or they'll buy the download. If you go ahead and give it to them, then they've already seen it. They don't care what it is. So I think we made the right decision. Like I said, we paid for that Masters of Pain immensely. And we're going to do that in 2022 as well. We're not going to live stream it. Live stream is just not for us. And we know that people are hating on it, but those same haters still will buy the damn thing.
Yeah.
Guarantee
that. You're right. I completely agree with you, because, and I'll make 2 points about this. When I interviewed Thumbtack Jack, we were talking about how people would just see stills of a crazy match that he had with Masada or somebody over in Germany, and that made people want to know what the fuck was this thing with all the syringes and all that stuff. They were all like, it made the heart grow fond to find this stuff and find it somewhere. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, when I was a kid, when I would watch Nitro, they would only show pictures of what happened the night before on the pay-per-view. Please buy the encore presentation if you want to see what happened. And it would annoy me that I could only see pictures. I'd really want you to see that footage. Like that's just from my perspective as a wrestling fan. And as far as live streaming is concerned, something's live streamed, people record that stuff, it's on the internet, able to be downloaded illegally within the day. And I know that because I've done that before. You know, if I didn't want to have to wait for something or whatever, I found a way to watch something. I'm just agreeing with you 100%. It's a smart way of going about it because people are going to be pining to see what happened. And the only way that they could do that, they got to buy that fucking DVD.
Back when I was watching ECW, they put Mustafa on, I think, 3 tables, and then they showed Rocco Rock going to do a moonsault, but they cut him off in air about right here.
Yeah.
I could not wait to see what that looked like because they let the sound go. You know, you heard the tables break, you heard the people go nuts. That's what I want. I want people to want to search out and see what we had. And now Fat Tom's on board. He was like, hell yeah, that was the right decision. And 2022, that's exactly what we're doing again.
Yeah, you'd be silly to give that stuff away. And like, I'll be honest, like WWE just put out this Extreme Rules pay-per-view, which only had one Extreme Rules match. But within the day, they had a whole set of highlights on their YouTube channel where you could see all the main things that happened. And I'm like, why would they do this? You want people to buy the network. That's your business. That's what it's built towards. Everything is an advertisement to buy the network to watch the pay-per-view, which isn't really a pay-per-view anymore. But they gave away the highlights the same day the pay-per-view came out. It's just crazy to me. Just crazy. So you've got the right idea, and believe it or not, the WWE don't. Okay, moving forward, another question about IWA East Coast. Proudest moment. It's been a few years that the company's been around. Is there one moment that you're like, you remember that makes you so proud?
I got to say it's that Chris Hero versus Dick Togo match because, of course, I was going to Japan a lot. And I would do these shows, and every once in a while, Dick Togo would be on there. Now, before I knew Dick Togo, I thought he was like one of the meanest dudes ever because I never seen the dude smile. It was always like a not to make fun of his looks, but a bulldog snarl, you know, just always. So I thought he was like one mean motherfucker. But then he come up smiling and shaking my hand and took me out to eat and stuff like that. So when we made the decision to bring in Dick Togo, there was nobody else that we could even think of putting in there but Chris Hero. And that was probably one of our best matches that we had on all of those. And then jump forward, we brought in Matt Hardy, and we had a meeting about who to put Matt Hardy against, and I said Masada, and they was like, well, we don't know if Matt Hardy is all that much into death matches or not. I said, I'm telling you right now, Masada did not start out a deathmatch worker. He'll even tell you that Japan was getting ready to send him home, and I had a talk with him. I'm like, Masada, you got to stop denying these weapons. You know, I want you to stay here with us. You got to do something. And that's when he kicked into this deathmatch gear. And he thanks me for that to this day. But when I said Masada, right away they thought putting Matt Hardy in a death match. I was like, no, just let him wrestle. Fucking phenomenal match. Great match. I don't know, man. Like that's the two that comes to mind. Oh, that and when Spike Dudley was going over Bam Bam and Viscera and all that stuff, shit, and he was called the Giant Killer. Do you remember that?
I do, yeah.
Well, we had our own giant called the War Pig, and I asked Spike to come in and wrestle the War Pig, and he put our giant over.
Oh, cool.
So here he's going over all these famous giants, but our War Pig went over Spike Dudley, which helped us out. You know, I mean,
yeah,
that's what this is all about. All the wrestlers that we brought in, we put under to our guys. That's how you build a company.
Yeah.
The three that refused, New Jack said, "I ain't putting that motherfucking Ian Rotten over for nothing." So understandable. Vader was not gonna put anybody over, no problem. And Abdullah the Butcher was not gonna put anybody over. Everybody else, what we did was we said, we give us your price and then give us your play ball price. And play ball price is we want our guy to go over. So
right.
we pretty well built our company on that play ball price. And just like me and you were talking about IWA East Coast today, it must have sparked something because you're in Australia, we're here, and we're talking about IWA East Coast.
Absolutely, bro. It's important, and that's all great stuff to hear. And as far as Masada is concerned, a lot of people out there, you got to realize this guy isn't just able to just do deathmatch stuff. He can do all styles. He can do lucha style. He can do strong style. He can do everything. This guy, he really is underrated as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so you've also spoke about what's in the pipeline for IWA East Coast. I've only got a couple more questions, but great to have sunk our teeth into the company that you're famously a part of. I just found this interesting. I had to ask about it. It just seems so like this is something that I don't know why this happened, but I can't wait to hear what the story is. 29th of March, 2014, Charleston Civic Center. You take on Nikolai Volkov. Is that correct?
Yeah.
How did that go?
Back in the day. Okay. So, man, I was watching WWF. You was watching WWF. So many people was watching WWF, but nothing made. Okay, so I'm a big Sergeant Slaughter guy because he would come out and USA and all that shit. But I always loved the Russian guys. The Russian guys was the easiest heat in the world because they'd hit the ring and everybody would chant USA. But something that always impressed the shit out of me is when Nikolai Volkov would sing that song, and they're in great arenas. They're in Madison Square Gardens. They're in the Omni. They're in huge arenas, but people would get so mad they couldn't help but just throw shit, And of course, Iron Sheik's running around kicking the shit out of the ring and cussing at people. But Nikolai Volkov never misses a beat and sings that song while they're throwing shit, I loved that. So when I found out that Nikolai Volkov was still wrestling, Rick Brady and Ron Oslin from D1W in Charleston, Indiana, they said, Pondo, you've done us right all these years. We want to do you right. We know your birthday's coming up. Who do you want to wrestle? Yeah. And I said, I would love it if you guys could get Nikolai Volkov. And of course, they're expecting a deathmatch guy, or they was pretty willing to get just about anybody that I said. But when I said Nikolai Volkov, they kind of thrown back, but then they realized, oh, well, I guess that'd be one of those oddity matches that might help, might draw, So yeah, kudos to those guys for helping me out and bringing me in Nikolai Volkov. Because I think another 2, maybe 3 years he passed away. So I'm glad I got to get in there with him.
Yeah, that's super cool. I knew that there'll be a cool story behind that. And now that you mentioned it, him not even missing a beat when all the trash has been thrown at him, that pops me so much. Okay, 2021 is the year that we're in right now. My research says you've worked 17 matches so far this year. What else do you hope to achieve in your time in the wrestling business at this point in your career?
So I want to be remembered. I want to live on after I die. That's been my goal for many, many years. I don't know if this is considered bragging, but I've been on 3 video games for Xbox and PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
I got my own beer in Japan. I did a horror movie with Robert Englund called 2001 Maniacs. I put my hands on so many women I have no business putting my hands on. Sarah Logan. I did a speech. I know Australia, this might not be all that big to you, but there is this place in Washington, D.C., in between the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial, where presidents and celebrities have all done speeches at. Forrest Gump jumped in the water. You know where I'm talking about now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I did a speech there, you know?
Wow.
Who would have ever thought this small town kid from Florida, Illinois would do a speech back when ICP versus the FBI was a big thing? I did a speech in between there. So all these matches that I'm still doing today, tomorrow, as a matter of fact, ICW No Holds Barred. I have Bam Sullivan on Saturday. I have the Mortons the next Saturday. I have Atticus Kogar the next Saturday after that. You know, I am dead. So people keep asking me, why are you still doing death matches? And my answer to them is, why not? That's why people know who I am today. That's why I'm on this podcast in Australia, because of death matches. And they just expect me to get 52 and just relax. And if you've seen my matches that I've had, I'm not mailing them in. I'm not jumping off of shit like I used to, and can't jump off balconies no more. My spleen might shoot out my asshole or something like that. But I'm doing my best to enhance death matches as much as I can. But I want to be that guy. So I want to be that guy that people will remember, and not for being a scumbag or cheating the wrestlers or none of that. I think I'm pretty well over that. IWA East Coast, not one wrestler cannot say that they did not get what they was promised. And I run a promotion now, Girl Fight. Not one of those girls have been sexually harassed, or we don't even let our crowd chant body shaming or sexual things. So and they've all gotten the money that they've been promised. So as a promoter, I would think that I'll be remembered in a good light. But as a promoter, you're always going to get enemies, and I do have 2 huge enemies out there. That's what I'm trying to get across, though. I'm not going to quit doing death matches until death matches quit doing me. People keep saying, Pondo, what age are you going to quit doing these death matches? And I tell them, I'll tell you how old I am when I'm done. You know, I mean, I'm not done. So when I pass away, I don't have that much TV notoriety. I'm not. I've never been on WWE, WCW, ECW. The list goes on and on. I won't be on AEW, but people know who I am. I'm known. Jack Sparrow said it best when they said, "You're the worst pirate I've ever heard of," and he said, "But you've heard of me." Well, that's me, right? I'm the worst wrestler you ever heard of, but you've heard of me. So I want to just keep on living after I die. So I'm not going to slow down until that time. I thought I was pretty invincible until WrestleMania weekend, until I got put down for 12 weeks. And that was a big wake up call right there. But I think even after being that hurt, I'm all healed up, and I'm right back into the same stupid shit that I was doing before. So I just want to be remembered, and podcasts like this and fans coming out to watch what I'm doing, and I think I'm that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm creating a legacy of Pondo was a good guy, but man, he was a maniac in the ring, and that's what I want.
Awesome, bro. Loved hearing all of that. And I have to say, this has been one of the most fun interviews that I've ever done. I've nearly done 100 interviews. You'll be number 96, actually.
Wow.
So I really just really enjoyed speaking to you and hearing about all of this. And I'll get to some more kind of words in a bit. But I wanted to give you the opportunity to plug anything and everything before we get to our final segment, 5-second frenzy. Anything that you want, all of your fans, Australian Deathmatch fans, IWA East Coast fans, please, the floor is yours.
All right. There's a guy named Corey Higdon who I've been trying to help out as much as I can. And he started a website to sell T-shirts for only deathmatch workers. So there's like 6 or 7 of my shirts on there. Any deathmatch worker you could think of are selling T-shirts on this website, and he's paying a lot more than all the other websites because he wants to help us. So Corey Higdon over at deathmatchworldwide.com for all your deathmatch worker T-shirt needs that you can even think of. Go check it out and see what he's got. Also, another thing that's going to keep me alive after I'm gone, I have a book written about me. There's 2 more in the hopper, but it's called Memoirs of a Madman. I haven't got one complaint on that book, not from anybody. People say that they laughed out loud a lot because I tell all my embarrassing stories along with my cool stories and growing up, time in the business, all types of shit. But you can get that at Memoirs of the Madman on Amazon.com, or you can write eatsleepwrestle.com. That's eatsleepwrestle.com, and ask John Cosper about getting an autograph copy of the book. And then as far as social media, so there's a Twitter and there's an Instagram, but I had to have somebody else make it. Computer dumbass, like we've been talking about. I was writing people on that. Nobody was writing me back, but I didn't know you had to put @ in front of their name because I'm a fucking moron. But if you want to get a hold of me, my real name is Kevin Kennedy, Canady. I'm on Facebook. Find me on there. I might not accept you as a friend because I don't know. People keep reporting my pictures. I'll put a bloody picture up there, and people will report it. So I might not add you as a friend, but you can always write me a message, and I'll respond to that. And that's about all I got really on where to find me. And then, you're in Australia, so I can't remember his name. Shit, Joel Bateman, is that right?
Yeah, Joel Bateman. Yeah. I've spoke to him before.
Yeah, he is talking about bringing me to Australia after all this craziness of COVID and airports open up. So please, if I'm in your area in Australia, come out and see me, man. Like, yeah, I act crazy and stupid in the ring, but outside, let's have a conversation, you know? So, yeah, for Australian people, I think I'm coming in. So Deathmatch Down Under, I believe it's called.
Oh, of course, Deathmatch Down Under. Yeah, it's only been around maybe about a year or so, but yeah, that's awesome. And everyone out there, everything that Pondo has just plugged down there on YouTube in the description. You better find it all there. Links to the memoirs of a madman, deathmatchworldwide.com and eatsleepwrestle.com. And whenever this does take place, you coming to Australia, we will ensure to promote any of your appearances on our channel. So that's exciting to know that
I've
could be
been
the
there
pipeline.
before. I wrestled there before. A referee, Daniel Beaumont, brought me in, and I wrestled TNT.
TNT, right?
Yeah, I wrestled Mad Dog and Mike Manson and Cracker Jack. You know, I wrestled some guys there. And then I also went when ICP was on tour in Australia. I was over there. I was one of the stage Fago Monster is what I was called. But in my stay over there, and this stays in my head, it will never leave. You can keep all that Vegemite you fucking want. Don't put that shit on my bread. Don't even bring that toothpaste looking tube at me. Put that shit anywhere. I don't know how you guys eat that shit, but hey, if you ever came to America, I have some flower potting dirt that you can eat. I think it tastes just about the same, and it's a lot cheaper than Vegemite, I believe.
I love Vegemite, and I like to lay it on real thick as well. Even Australians don't like the way that I lay it on. It's bad, but I love it. I just grew up on it. I can't help it. I just love it.
That's what they all say. I grew up on it. So if your parents would have put turds on bread, you grew up with that. I mean,
that's a good point. You got me there, bro. You got me there.
Keep all that shit.
Okay, Madman Pondo, we're getting to the segment now. It's called 5 Second Frenzy. You got 5 seconds to answer each question, even if you don't make it to the 5 second rule. It's okay, you won't get in trouble. But the first question on 5 Second Frenzy is, who is your favorite wrestler of all time?
Sergeant Slaughter, Bruiser Brody, Terry Funk.
Excellent answers, all three. No, this could be a tough one for a lot of people. Who is your favorite opponent that you've had over the years?
Necro Butcher, Terry Funk. Yeah, we'll just stay at those two, Terry Funk and Necro Butcher.
Excellent, bro.
Toby Klein, Mr. Insanity, Toby Klein's number 3.
Excellent. If you could pick the favorite match you've performed in over all these years, what would you pick?
It would be Terry Funk. He's in all 3 answers, but Terry Funk for the JCW title, and Toby Klein at Tournament of Death with the pencil board bump at the end. Fuck them pencil boards, man. Fuck that.
Doesn't sound like a fun day. Getting away from wrestling now, favorite book?
It would have to be mine because it's the only one that I've read. I had to read it to proofread it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have read that motherfucker either. But it'd have to be my book.
Excellent, bro.
I love magazines, though. There's a lot of pictures in those.
I know exactly what you're talking about there. Our favorite TV show, bro?
It would have to be Game of Thrones because, man, I watched every one of them religiously and then went back and watched them again. And I haven't done that with any other TV show.
Right, awesome. I've done that 3 times with The Sopranos. Favorite film?
Too much penis. Too much penis in that fucking Game of Thrones.
Favorite film, if you could pick one?
There's my horror movie film. I loved. It's a trauma film, and even on Australia, you can go to trauma.com. That's TROMA.com, and there's a movie called Mother's Day. It's got some rape in it. That's not why I like it. There's two brothers in there, and their mom's teaching them to be rapists and killers, and they fight with each other. Mother's Day. Trauma's the Mother's Day.
Right, that sounds interesting. I'm going to write that down. That was crazy.
And 2001 Maniacs that I'm in with Robert Englund. I'll say that was a good one too.
Excellent, bro. Favorite musical artist or band?
I got Hank Williams Jr.'s son, Hank 3. I have heard that he took too many mushrooms or acid, so he doesn't tour too much, but I saw that guy 8 times in a row. I like watching Weird Al. Of course, I've seen Insane Clown Posse on stage more than your normal human being. I like the artists that have great stage shows, not just stand in front of a microphone with a guitar. So AC/DC always had a real good stage show. Kiss. But I've seen all types, man. I've seen rap. I've seen rock. I've seen country. So I'm not really all that big a music fan, but I'll be damned if that's not kind of the scene that I'm in because of ICP.
Yeah, fair enough. Getting away from the arts now, favorite food?
Anything, man. Well, I say anything. I don't know if you guys have them in Australia, but we have mashed potatoes here.
Yes.
I cannot stand fucking mashed potatoes. I hate beans. Jelly beans. I'll eat the fuck out of jelly beans, but I hate beans. Favorite food though. You want my favorite food? Shit, man. I like gyros, however the fuck you say it.
Gyro.
Gyros. I like Red Lobster's popcorn shrimp. Yeah, probably whatever Red Lobster has would probably be my favorite food.
Excellent. So favorite place to eat on the road?
Whatever's open anymore. COVID's got us all shut down, but man, it would have to be any fat. I mean, and it just goes from exit to exit. But you know what? We have a place here called the Cookout now, and it's like a wrestler's best friend. You get a main entree, which is a hamburger or a double cheeseburger or a quesadilla and all that shit, and then you get 2 sides, which you get to choose from: hash browns, not hash brown, hush puppies, chicken nuggets, or onion rings, and then you get a Coke. All for $5 and some odd change. So it's a wrestler's best friend. I'd say a restaurant called the Cookout.
Excellent, bro. Favorite alcoholic beverage?
I don't drink. I know that's a big myth that I do a lot of drugs and I drink and I don't even chew tobacco or smoke a cigarette, but I would have to say probably a screwdriver because that's my go-to if I just have to drink, but give me more orange juice than you do vodka.
Fair enough. Second last one for 5 Second Frenzy. Favorite female body part?
Ass, titty. Just pick one. Tit, ass. I'm sure there's a vagina up in here somewhere.
Awesome, bro. And the last one for 5 Second Frenzy is your favorite curse word.
Fuck it.
Excellent, bro.
Fuck this. Fuck that. Fuck them. Fuck them all. You know, I mean, yeah. It's to the point now that I don't even know that I'm saying that word until somebody says, man, you say fuck a lot. I guess it's what I like to do the most, so that's what I say the most, you know.
It's fair enough, bro. I'm Australian enough. I hear it all the time. Pondo, what a privilege to have the opportunity to speak to you here today. This has meant so much to me to have the opportunity to learn about and hear some fantastic stories from you. You're really open and honest, and as you were talking about earlier about wanting to be remembered, you're definitely going to be remembered. You're going to be in those video games forever. You're going to be in that film forever. You've got a book about you that will be around forever. So you will be remembered. And I live in the most isolated city in the world, Perth, Western Australia. I know the name Madman Pondo. I will always remember the name Madman Pondo. And this interview will be on YouTube forever. So I just hope that you're so proud of everything that you've accomplished, what you've done for other people. You're obviously a fantastic promoter that's never fucked anybody on money or anything like that. So from one end of the world to the other, I just want you to know that you're appreciated all the way over here, my friend.
Perth, I think that's where I flew into. Perth is your airport. Is everything around it like a farm with cows and sheep and?
No, I don't
is
think
that
so.
It? No, man. I flew into an airport. I thought I was in the wrong spot. Like it was all farm area around this fucking airport. I thought that was Perth. Maybe not. I don't know. Melbourne, maybe. Shit, I don't know. I'm
Not
a
sure,
terrible. So we're walking. I know you got to get off here, but this is a terrible story, but it's one of my favorites in Australia. So we're walking around where the Opera House is there in Sydney, and there is a blind girl there playing this long thing with I think it's called an oboe or something like that. I don't know, but she's doing really good, and people's all giving her change in her bowl, and she's counting that change in her bowl. And about that time, one of those boats blew the horn and scared the shit out of her. Their change flew everywhere. A bunch of us wrestlers went over and picked up the change for her, but I do remember that. I remember that story. I'm a terrible person, I know.
Again, bro, I just want to thank you very much, and I just you will be remembered, my friend.
Thank you so much. If you go to a family reunion and they're talking about what's your favorite food, you say Madman Pondo. Just keep my name alive no matter what.
No matter what, bro.
If you go to massage one of those bordellos, which I went to 2 over there, and they say, what position do you want? Say that Madman Pondo position. Just keep my name alive, everything you do, no matter what.
Awesome, bro. Well, thank you again very much, bro. It means a lot to me to have you on the show.
All right, man. Have a good night.
No worries, bro. And thank you, everyone out there, for watching the Insider's Edge podcast here on the WZWA Network in conjunction with Blue Wire Hustle. I'm your host with the most on the West Coast, Karlifornia Fury, here with my new friend, Madman Pondo, and we will see you next time. Thank you.